Dr. Nachi Sinha is here. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. Very well, thank you, Toby. Nice to be back again.
Yes. Now, Closed Doors, Bitterness and Lost Opportunities is the name of the penultimate chapter in your book. And there's a great story in it where you've got one friend who goes up to order an ice cream from the salesperson and just tells her what he wants and then just kind of walks away. So he just gets a scoop of ice cream in a cone maybe with nothing else. And then another friend comes and he sort of makes the effort to maybe be a bit more polite, stay around a bit after ordering, and he gets offered sprinkles and nuts and sauce and everything. So he got a better deal out of what, really? Just staying a little bit longer?
Just an ice cream? No,
Yeah.
no. That's life, isn't it? So how do we get a better deal out of life, and why was that important to understand? Because what happens is that of course, we're only human beings, and let's say I go through a bad experience, whatever it is, bad meeting or difficult conversation with somebody, and I'm kind of in it, and I'm feeling that way or in that mood, and so I'm wearing a certain sort of filter, right? And I'm looking at things around in that way. But what I've forgotten is that the reason I feel that way is not because of what's happening right now, but the reason I feel that way is because of what happened then, which could have been an hour ago, 2 hours ago, or 2 months ago, or a year ago. So why is that relevant? That's relevant because something that happened that time is now still having an impact on me in my ability to live my life, and how I'm not grasping onto opportunities. And I couldn't think of any other analogy but then this, because I remember this actually happening where the lady kept asking, "Do you want sprinkles?" Yeah. Well, do you want? Yeah. So like suddenly, the same ice cream. Like, my God, mine is so much better. But that's what life is. Life gives you opportunities, and sometimes we can't see it because we're stuck in the past. Problems of the past, no doubt. I'm not trying to say that these problems didn't hurt us or make life difficult for us, no. Yeah. But there were still problems of the past. Its ability to have an impact on my now by being mindful and present while I'm living life at the moment is stopping me from having a better future.
Yeah. And if you get more opportunities by just sort of hanging around, what is the optimum length? Because you don't want to hang around loads of times being a nuisance.
No. Hanging around, that's an excellent question. Hanging around, would be the analogy to sort of be present emotionally and mentally. For example, let's say meeting number one was really bad, right? And I'm like in a terrible mood. And then I walk in meeting number two, where something important was being discussed. But I'm not present there. I'm still present in the previous meeting. I'm still thinking about that. So I haven't let go of the emotion that the previous experience made me feel. So I walk in that mood in the next opportunity, then I won't see anything because my mind is already clouded. And the worst bit is that if you would ask me, "Well, Nachi, did you go to that meeting?" I say, yeah. Well, what an amazing thing that came up. I wouldn't even see it then. I would just think that, look, I told you I'm being misjudged, because then they would tell that to me. Well, I was in the same meeting as you were, but I didn't even notice it because I was still concerned about what happened before.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point. I guess it goes back to something you said a few weeks ago about how if you'd have said something outrageous to me and I'd invited you back the next week, people would be like, "Why are you having him back?"
Right.
But we leave it there and deal with it later, really.
Yes, that's an excellent point. I mean, you think you really nicely sort of connected the two. Yes, that's a great point. Yep. And again, that's a choice that you make at an individual level, right? I mean, how much is that really sort of, how much was that awkward behavior of mine really worth? Is it worth the price, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. And how much maybe experiences have you seen in your life that maybe you didn't have room to put in the book?
Oh, inherently, I'm a very lazy person, Toby. So many, and I kind of sort of thought to myself that I need to stop thinking, and so kind of put a lid on the thoughts a bit. But that's what it is. I mean, when you think about it, these are just everyday life stresses, right? Things that happen to all of us. And we don't have to be unwell to go through these. We don't have to have a multi-billion-dollar business to have to go through these. They're just common day-to-day stuff that can happen to any one of us, and yet they have the ability to have a negative impact on our life. So there are lots of other. Are you all trying to ask me if there's another book coming?
Mm.
Well, if that's a question, then I don't think so now.
Well, I don't know. I might as well ask it.
No, I mean, there are quite a few ideas floating around, but like I said, I mean, my idea was to keep it as small as possible. So an idea, taking it and kind of chiseling it away, and still making it understandable and an easy read. For example, in the book, not in the Kindle or ebook edition. I mean, but in the paperback stuff, you'll find that after every chapter, there are a couple of 2-3 pages left empty. And the idea is that once somebody's read the story, then they kind of write their own thoughts in those empty pages and see how they feel about it. So when you're going back, 6 months or so on later, because it's a really thin book, and the idea being that it should be so small that it can fit into a man's coat or a lady's purse. So that was the idea. Of course, then the phone came along.
Yes. Well, that chapter is called Closed Doors, Bitterness and Lost Opportunities, from the book Empowered and Strong, Navigating Safely Through the Storms of Life by Dr. Nachi Sinha. And many thanks for joining us today. See you next week for one last time.
Thank you. Thank you too.